not the full committee, because it's a subcommittee, special committee, to hear the rent costs, not the low THC. We have a special committee on low THC, and we have a special one. Yeah, this one's on. See y'all later. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
And that's for your protection.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Where do I go?
Go to your.
Right, so she said that's the
So there's an instructor.
okay, yeah, so
Well,
she
that
call and that says something.
that's not
I think I
in this committee.
Okay. I looked under my iPhone.
Yeah. See it?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
good.
Right, but I don't think we haven't brought it to the full committee. I'll have to look and see. I don't remember the bill number, but I gotta get busy.
We'll get this compliment.
Tell them. Anna, I have something for you. Maybe somebody that doesn't show up after all. The leadership people that are truck exploration, I have to look at all this stuff. And not for
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're running just a little behind, but we'll go ahead and get started. We are hearing one bill today, House Bill 598 by Representative Brent Cox, and we will invite Representative Cox to either come to the podium or sit if you prefer, and the floor is yours. Help me. I think that does it.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah.
So we're going over House Bill 598, which is LC 365531. This bill, in the simplicity, is basically removing several organizations from the amateur status for safety reasons so that we regulate and protect the athletes. If you'll go into page 2, which would be lines 23, 4, 5, 6, and 28, we're removing International Sport Kickboxing Karate Association, also known as ISKA, the World Kickboxing Association, United States Kickboxing Association, International Sports Combat Federation, and International Kickboxing Federation. Also further down on page 3, lines 46 through 49 and 51, removing the same names. And the question that probably first would come up, why are we removing those names out of here? The main reason is safety. So we have athletes in the amateur space that we need to make sure that we're having proper blood work, eye exams, pre-fight physicals. We need to make sure we have doctors and EMTs at the events, ambulances at the events, to ensure not if, but when injuries occur, that these individual athletes are protected. At this point, where we currently sit, it would be, and I have this form here, which I can get to y'all if you would like it, but it's from the Secretary of State's office. It's a martial arts sanctioning organization, and basically what would occur is that the associations that we've removed would become regulated. They then go on the Secretary of State's website, and they get this form filled out so that they're appropriately regulated by the Secretary of State's office here in Georgia. And I yield to any questions y'all may have.
Okay, thank you so much for a good presentation. We do have 2 questions. Representative or Secretary Earhart.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I don't know the first thing about regulating kickboxing, but I do have just a couple of questions. So what you're saying is by allowing these particular organizations to remain with amateur status, that there is not a requirement or a regulation that these safety features that you mentioned be in place? Did I understand that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay, and why these particular organizations? What is it? Do we have a problem in the state with injury and injury to these athletes at an amateur status? Are folks being injured and there aren't the resources there at these events to take care of them? I'm just a little confused.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, if kickboxing, obviously, there's many blows to the head coming from a coaching perspective, concussion protocol, and a lot of the things that we will deal with. I think it's very important that we have the appropriate, like even in high school sports, we have to have EMTs on site, doctors, ambulance service, and all kinds of other features as we participate in high school athletics. As it relates to this, that doesn't currently exist. So because of the vulnerability that the athletes could succumb to based on certain blows, kickboxing specifically, we just want to make sure that we protect those athletes. For the record, on the International Sports Kickboxing Association, ISKA, actually approves regulating the industry as well. So there's a letter from some time past. I think that's important to note. But
Do you
it's
have
just-
any
it's-
feedback from, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I may, do you have any feedback from the other organizations? Are they also wanting regulation?
Well, two of the, currently, one of the organizations is not active. However, that name could become active. Two of them, not active currently is the United States Kickboxing Association, which is line 25. 26 and 28 are similar groups. So that's sports combat and kickboxing. I do not have an answer to their feedback on it or on the World Kickboxing Association, which is line 24K. So I don't have feedback on theirs as well, but I can see what kind of feedback we can get.
And if I may, one last follow-up question.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to understand why we're, and I understand blows to the head. I do. I know that can happen with a number of different
Sure.
types of sports, not just kickboxing. But do the same risks not exist with some of these other organizations and sports? I guess the wrestling and the karate, and I just see other ones on here that aren't being selected out.
Sure. Well, you have boxing, Georgia High School Athletics, the NCAA. I mean, they have certain guidelines, which, like I said, through Georgia High School Sports Course, the NCAA, you're going to have these individuals on site anyway. We just want to make sure we have the proper support, because I think the kickboxing industry has great potential within our state. And by doing this, I think it will probably encourage more athletes to maybe go down this path. It opens the door so parents or adults can feel more comfortable with the industry. The industry is very intriguing. I think the athletes are incredible. We just want to make sure that at an amateur state that we just put some guardrails around it to make sure that athlete's protected.
Thank you for answering the questions.
Thank you. Floor Lady McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lines 23, shouldn't that be ISK squared A?
I think that would be an incorrect mathematical equation, saying that there's a B after the K, but we appreciate the effort.
On a serious note, going back to what the Secretary was talking about, you mentioned doctors and EMTs need to be present. Is that required, or is that a rule, or is that done by location of whether, who's holding the match or hosting the match? That's my only confusion. Like at a football game, high school football game, is a doctor always required to be there at a high school football game? I know you got certified trainers, but is it required to have a doctor for a basketball game, a wrestling match, a baseball game, when you got your certified trainer there?
Even when I played in the 80s, so Dr. Tom Price, who also served here, he was actually our team physician. And then up at the high schools where I've coached, we've always had a doctor there, which we were under the impression was required. And then you obviously have trainers, which ours came from Northeast Georgia over in Gainesville. And then you had the EMT and the ambulance service. I believe, I'll have to confirm, but I believe that the answer is yes, you need the doctor and the EMT there, but I'll have to confirm that. But I believe that's a correct statement.
Even for every sport, wrestling?
I don't know that for every sport that's the case. I think it's going to be more of the sport. I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this bill? Is anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to the bill? Okay, well, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I make a motion that this bill do pass to go into full committee.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. And a second. If there is any other further comments in favor of the bill or opposed to the bill, please make them now.
I just hope the author will be able to answer some of these questions when we get to full committee that we're asked today.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We have a motion to pass this bill out of committee with a do pass recommendation. If you favor that motion, please say aye. If you oppose it, say no, and there is no opposition. Thank you so much, Representative Cox, for a good presentation. And we will advise Chairman Powell that this is passed out of this subcommittee and on to the full committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.